Chaos doesn't just erupt in Scourge of the Serpent issue number 3. It folds through time itself. The comic plunges into 3 eras at once, weaving the Hyborian Age, the Thurian Age, and even 1934 into one supernatural convergence. This issue takes Robert E. Howard's most mythic creations, Conan, Kull, and the sorceress scholars of his modern stories, and hurls them together in one metaphysical collision. And today on Captain Comics, we're breaking down the entire story from start to finish. Before anything else, a mysterious figure makes one thing clear: time is only perception. Every moment, every era is a thread in a single tapestry. The gunshot in 1934, the murder in Conan's Age, the shape changers in the Epic of Kull, all are faces of one ancient truth. From that foundation, the issue explodes into 3 interlocking storylines, each driven by violence, paranoia, and cosmic horror. Conan's thread, the goblet, the murder, and the god in the bowl. Conan enters this chapter already tangled in someone else's scheme. He's hired to steal a priceless goblet from a museum, a relic older than recorded history. But the heist goes wrong immediately. Before he even touches the artifact, he finds the museum's owner murdered. The guards storm in, accusations fly, and it becomes obvious that Conan is being framed. Conan's response is pure Cimmerian instinct. He fights his way out. Several guards fall before his blade. But as the bodies pile up, something becomes clear even to him. These aren't the only deaths in the building. The killer is still inside. Most men would flee, but Conan's curiosity burns hotter than fear. Something about the relics, the silent corridors, and the unnatural stillness draws him deeper. What he finds lurking among the artifacts isn't human. A whisper, a rustle, a presence behind a screen. Conan senses an eerie sound he refuses to hear, as if instinctively knowing that some noises are traps for the soul. Then the shape moves. What steps forward is a being out of nightmare and legend, a serpent-haired figure whose eyes crackle with divine malice. The comic leaves no ambiguity. This is Medusa, or something akin to her, perhaps a prototype predating Greek myth entirely. Another character, elsewhere in this tangled timeline, displays that same haunting gaze, hinting that this power isn't a singular monster, but a lineage or contagion of divinity. Before Conan can grapple with that revelation, an even more monstrous creature lunges at him, a snake-bodied horror often whispered of only as the god in the bowl. Faster than anything he's fought, empowered by ancient magic, it slams the barbarian across the chamber. Even Conan's legendary instincts fail him here. His strength is immense, but this thing is primordial. The comic turns savage. Conan is flung, crushed, clawed, and nearly hypnotized, yet he refuses to break. In one desperate surge, he clings to the scales and hacks away with raw, blood-soaked determination. The beast, shocked by his endurance, unleashes its full fury. The chamber becomes a nightmare of relics, shadows, and divine wrath. But this storyline is only one strand of the greater serpent. The modern thread, Kirawan, Vrolok, and the haunting of Evelyn Gordon. Shifting to the early 20th century, the story takes a darker, more psychological turn. Here we follow Kirawan, a scholar of the occult and the cursed woman he's trying to save, Evelyn Gordon. Her mind and body have been overtaken by something ancient, twisting her into a violent vessel of otherworldly possession. People try to restrain her, but Evelyn thrashes with impossible strength. She screams in languages never spoken by humans. Kirawan feels his terror rising, but he refuses to back away, not because he's brave, but because he's obsessed. Whatever force coils inside Evelyn is linked to his own past. As her body contorts, a tragic moment erupts. James Gordon, her husband, collapses mid-sentence, dropping lifelessly to the floor. Panic fills the room. Someone cries out, "Oh God, I've killed him!" Whether through shock or supernatural backlash, James seems gone. But he isn't. Something clings to him, an energy that refuses to let go. Another man in the room senses the truth. The evil inside Evelyn is using James as a conduit. While everyone else demands medical help, he insists they're facing a supernatural threat that will destroy them all unless confronted. Kirawan's internal journey becomes even stranger. He stumbles into a dreamlike fog, and standing before him is a dark mirror. His reflection moves independently, revealing a shadow self lurking beneath his rational exterior. This mirror self hints that Kirawan's identity has never been whole, that something forgotten, something ancient is waking up inside him.
This revelation comes just in time for the return of Yosef Vrolok, a diabolist Kirawan once knew and hated. Vrolok is more than just an old rival. He's the man who stole Kirawan's love, dabbled in forbidden magic, and died long ago. But death has not held him. Vrolok appears renewed, emboldened by forces beyond human comprehension. He reveals that he and Kirawan have been locked in a cycle of reincarnated rivalry spanning centuries. Each lifetime, each conflict is merely another move in their cosmic duel. And now, with the power of a mystic ring, Vrolok plans to break the cycle permanently by erasing Kirawan's existence from the pattern of time itself. This revelation ties Kirawan's struggle directly to Conan's and Kull's. Time, as the issue declared from the start, is only a perception. Their fates are connected far deeper than ancestry or myth. Kull's thread, serpents in the court of Valusia. In the oldest age of all, King Kull sits uneasy upon the throne of Valusia. His court appears calm, faces smile, voices flatter, and loyalists pledge their support. But Kull knows better. Masks hide serpents, and lies slither through the palace. For Kull, this issue is a psychological war. He wrestles with doubt. Can he trust any counselor? Even himself. The Serpent People, masters of deception, infiltrate human society by wearing false faces. The council chamber feels like a stage built for betrayal, as Kull prepares for a meeting with the 17 counselors who once championed his rise to power. The tension is suffocating. He unveils a deception discovered the night before, but whether any of these men will stand with him remains uncertain. What follows is an eruption of blood and revelation. Brule, his Pictish ally, roars a battle cry as the truth comes out. Several counselors are serpent beings in disguise. Chaos overtakes the hall. Kull charges into combat, abandoning strategy as fury overtakes him. Steel meets scale in a frenzy of carnage. But even amidst victory and violence, the king confronts a deeper fear. The fear that the serpent threat isn't only in his court, it may exist inside him. That perhaps he too is merely wearing a mask. 3 ages, one cataclysmic pattern. By the midpoint of the issue, the comic makes the hidden architecture clear. These aren't parallel stories. They're reflections of one ancient war, repeated epochs after epoch. Conan, the barbarian hounded by gods. Kirawan, the scholar haunted by reincarnated evil. Kull, the king beset by shape-shifting serpents. Each faces betrayal, possession, hidden identities, and clashes with primordial powers. 3 eras, 3 wars, 1 serpent. The rage of mortals versus the power of the primordial. Across all threads, the theme is unmistakable. Human fury, whether Conan's brute strength, Kirawan's stubborn intellect, or Kull's savage kingship, is tiny compared to the forces they challenge. The comic underscores this with brutal clarity. Conan fights a monster so ancient it predates myth. Kirawan confronts cycles of reincarnation shaped by sorcery. Kull battles an enemy who can steal faces, memories, and trust. Each man stands defiant, but each is dwarfed by the age and vastness of the enemy. Mortality, the issue argues, is a spark. It burns fiercely, but briefly. Destinies collide. The final build-up. As the issue nears its climax, time itself begins to unravel. Energy crackles across eras. The 3 battles no longer feel separate. They echo one another, resonating like chords in a cosmic symphony. The past influences the present. The present shapes the past. Into this storm floats a mystical queen, an ancient figure whose presence demands obedience. Surrounded by swirling power, she hovers on the brink of catastrophe. Her failure would doom all timelines. Her success could bind them together or shatter them forever. She stands on the threshold of divinity, and the comic leaves her fate unresolved as the issue closes. Everything has built to this moment. Every thread tightens. Every warrior braces. The battlefield is no longer just physical. It is temporal, philosophical, cosmic. This is the point of no return. Our nerdy thoughts. Scourge of the Serpent, Issue 3, is one of the most ambitious Conan-related comics in years, maybe ever. It doesn't just adapt Howard's characters, they synchronize them. Conan, Kirawan, and Kull aren't just spiritual cousins. They are pieces of the same ancient war. Their stories bleed into each other, echoing across centuries. And as we head toward the finale, one thing is certain: the serpents aren't just creatures. They're ideas. They're eras. They're the lies that stretch across time itself. The warriors of 3 ages are ready. The cosmic storm is gathering, and the next issue promises nothing less than the collapse or salvation of their shared destiny. If you want a title breakdown, a character deep dive, or a thematic analysis next, let me know, and Captain Comics will tackle it.